Good afternoon, Dan Sileo, National Football Show. What a week, huh? What a week, man. There are so many great storylines. So many great storylines going on in football. College or pro, you pick it. And you know what, too? The appetite for football is so off the chain when it comes to ratings right now. People want to see these storylines. You know, they want Justin Herbert. Is he really going to be on an 0-3 football team after this week? Is Jalen Hurts really the guy that's going to go forward with Philadelphia? As we said yesterday, the next 5 games are going to determine who this kid is. Tom Brady, really at 44, guy? You're going to play your best football. You're going to play your best football at 44. So wait a minute. You're going to throw more touchdown passes in your 40s than you did in your 20s? That's like insane, right? College football, who gets the Southern Cal job? By the way, you want to hear the price tag for it? The best guy gets this. $10 million. How you doing? And I get to live in L.A., and I'm the most popular football team, including the pro teams. Hey, man, how you doing, brother? Stinking. Dr. Dan Sileo in the stream. How you doing? Throw some shade at you. It's all good, man. Hungry Python. Appreciate it, man. I tell everybody, too, that comes in here, you guys are the content creators. You guys create it all the time, man. It's really great. And by the way, I'm learning again. I'm kind of like relearning broadcasting a little bit because you guys come into the Big Sills Pizza Parlor. That's what we should call this thing. Because I am at a bar here, as you can see. Look. You see this thing here? This is a beer tap. By the way, Krause said, let's try to keep it on the rails here, but I want to show you something. Michelob. How you doing? Right there, baby. Well, will that be a, like, you know, do there you go. How you doing? Boom. How you doing? Right? What do you think I do on Saturdays and Sundays? TV's over there, and I'm going like this. Hey, man. Hey, that's a new gimmick. Okay, Stinking. Check it out. Pour that man one. That's a good take. From now on, anybody with good takes, pour that man one right there. How you doing? Right? Oh, by the way, Dak Prescott, too. Back in the news a little bit here. Hey, Jameis Winston. We'll talk a little bit about him, but we got to start it out in Philadelphia. You know, I talked about these football games yesterday and what the Eagles are going to have to go through, this little gauntlet. They got the Cowboys, then they got the Panthers, then they got the Raiders, then they got the Chiefs, and then they got the Buccaneers. Hey, by the way, did the Eagles finish in last place last year? Did they finish in last place? How'd you get this schedule? How did you get this schedule? Okay, right? 49ers, Cowboys, Raiders, Panthers, Chiefs, and Bucs out of the gate. Were the Eagles 4-11-1 last year? Jesus criminy, how the hell did you get that schedule? Man, out of the gate, it's got to be one of the tougher schedules out of the gate. But we all agree this, right? These next stretch of games, these 5 games, are going to tell the Eagles the value of what Jalen Hurts is. Is that fair? I know everybody now is hoping and I guess praying that he's the guy for whatever reason. But isn't this going to be these next couple games tell Howie Roseman and the entire front office the value of the player? Hey, and in reality, let's do this here too. Stinking, man. It's the East schedule. I get it, man. I can't believe that, though. Look at who you have out of the gate. One of the toughest schedules in the NFL right out of the gate. I mean, Falcons, okay. But then you go 49ers, playoff team. Cowboys, playoff team. Panthers, 2-0 now. Then you get the Raiders, 2-0. Then you got the Chiefs. Then you got the Buccaneers, who look unbeatable. It's crazy, right? But we're going to find out truly what the value is. And I'll tell you something else, too. What's really cool for, barring any kind of injuries, what's great for the Eagles is this. You might be showcasing another asset to trade when the NFL draft comes around next year. Follow me here. By the way, upgrading the position, Joey B, appreciate you coming aboard. Thank you, as you do all the time. But you, get this, you playing Jalen Hurts, you're also showcasing a potential asset that you can involve in a deal. Now, look, it's funny. We have a guy that jumps aboard with us all the time. I forget his name, man. I think it's Kenny G. Sileo, tell Merrill Reese. He was telling me to tell Merrill Reese yesterday, you hate the guy. You hate Hurts. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody in the NFL. That's not how I do my show. I hate that guy. I hate the things that LeBron does, but I don't hate the guy. I don't know the guy. I'm not one of those guys that does that. I can't stand a guy like Ben Simmons. I think the guy's a pathetic human being. But again, at the end of the day, it's just because of the way he acts in public. It's got nothing to do with me knowing him personally, but he acts like a child. He's a 10-year-old. I'm not playing there anymore. Okay. And why not? Because they barked at you? Because you sucked in the playoffs? Right? Think of that for a minute. Well, I just don't like the way Philly and management talk to me that way. Well, you suck, dude. I mean, you were a cowardly lion. No, you weren't a lion. You were an otter. You weren't a lion, an otter. You know what otters are? They're lion's dinner. That's who Ben Simmons was in the playoffs. This guy was a lunch. I'm not shooting because I don't feel comfortable. And now I don't care what Doc says. I just don't care. I'm going to go to some place that really loves me. Where? New Orleans? Yeah, where? Oh, yeah. You know what he means by that? You know what that is for code? I'm going to go where someone really likes me. I'm going to go somewhere where there's no pressure on me. And if you might as well go to North Carolina, and you might as well go and play for Michael Jordan with the Carolina. You might as well go there, man. Might as well go to the Charlotte Hornets. Go somewhere there, and at the end of the day, guess what? You don't have to worry about anything. Right? I mean, dude, that guy, be a man, dude. I just don't like the way the people in Philly well, welcome to a real market. Ben Simmons, you got it. JAKIB, he's an otter. Otters are fed to seals on the rocks. You know when they're looking for something to eat? That's an otter. That's how I look at people. Are you this or that? Are you going to eat the meal or are you the meal? Ben Simmons is the meal. I just don't, they threw me and only me under the bus in the playoffs because you sucked. Wait. Why would you just call me out? Because your organization didn't know how to handle losing like that. And they couldn't handle the pressure of the fans coming down on everybody, including Doc Rivers. You see, the Sixers love Rivers. They don't really like Ben, and they'd like to keep Doc around. What did my friend Howard Eskin call Doc? He called him Glenn. He goes, nobody in Philly gets that distinction on being called Doc. He's Glenn. He's Glenn Rivers. He ain't Doc Rivers. Not in Howard Eskin's eyes. Okay? I love how the media is treating Ben. And I love how the fans are too. He's the only guy that doesn't get it. Hey, over here, Ben. This just in. Nobody cares what you think. They just care they move your ass and you never play another minute as a 76er. I mean, right? Dan, how many times did you play on the cement? Cement at the vet. It's pretty right. I think twice. It's cement. Had a big old tear in the thing. It's crazy stupid. Some of those places, man, the pro stadiums were the worst. College stadiums, you just got infections. Like when you went up to Gainesville, hey, is that somebody's skin there on the turf? Oh, yeah, what they would do is they would take like bleach and go on the to clean the AstroTurf back in the day. They would bleach it with water, and there'd still be skin from the day before or the game in the previous week, and you would see a tough skin that would be on the AstroTurf. They weren't very sanitary, those things that we played on back in the day. They weren't very sanitary. Anyway, back in the Hurts. Okay, I'm going to know after 5. I'm going to give you guys, without a doubt, my assessment so far after 8 games. I'll say I'll give them to the 8th game before we make the determination. Here's where I'm at right now. I'm at this right now, okay? I'm at the Eagles are still going to go into the draft next year and draft a quarterback. I just don't know high yet. How high they pick him, I have no idea. All right. There's another storyline that's going to come out of this week here. And I think it's something for everybody to keep an eye on with the new head coach in Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni. How does Nick Sirianni develop Jalen Hurts over these next 7, 8 games? Is he getting better? How would you apply how Nick Sirianni has done in the first 2 weeks with Jalen's development? Are you seeing improvement compared to him being under Doug Peterson? Someone asked me that last night. You think Nick is developing him in the right way right now? A couple days ago, Krause was telling me, he goes, how come no passes across the middle? That's because he's not developing him to see the entire field yet. What you're doing is you're managing him. And as I've been saying to you over the last couple of days, there's clearly a plan here on how he's going to approach certain defenses. And to me, when you have a defense like the Cowboys, and you know what? I know the Cowboys are at the top of the league right now when it comes to takeaways, but that's a fool's gold stat. I mean, you have to rely on takeaways and interceptions and turnovers and fumbles every single game. Well, then guess this. You're not really playing to the true scheme of your defense. Are you a run-stopping defense? Are you a defense that really does a great job in pass coverage? Are you a defense like that that's going to be able to carry the day if your offense has a bunch of 3-and-outs? I'm still not – hey, as much as I'm not sold on Jalen yet going into this game, I'm not sold on the Cowboy defense. And I would ask you this. You think Jerry and Stephen Jones and Mike McCarthy are happy with the Cowboys' start to the season being 1-1? You think they're happy right now with what they're seeing in Dallas with their football team? Let's look at that. By the way, second hour, Jason Cole, our weekly visit with him. Great author. Just wrote a book about John Elway. You can get it on Amazon. It will be in hour number 2. He's also a Hall of Fame voter. He's our weekly insider, so he'll be with us in hour number 2. You know, so to me, I look at him like this. The quarterback is eligible to be drafted at Oklahoma. I think his name is Rattler. Sirianni's development is going to be critical to the future on how we see Jalen also. But when you look at the Cowboys and what they're looking at in the first 2 games, they also have issues. You think the Cowboys right now are happy with this 2-0, or excuse me, this 2-game start of being 1-1. You think they're happy? If you told me I had all the replacements that I needed to make on the defensive side of the football, you could have replaced 9 guys out of 11 on that defense of a year ago. Let's be candid there. That defense was terrible. Couldn't stop the run. They had all types of issues with that football team when it came to the defense. The Cleveland Browns, I think, put up 300 yards rushing on them in Dallas. So I would say, do you believe that they're happy. I think the Cowboys have to be thrilled to death right now that that football team is sitting at 1-1. You played pretty good against the Buccaneers, right? You put up over 470 yards. You turned around and you went on the road and you kicked a 56-yard field goal against a football team that many people consider to be a playoff roster team. I think they're underachieving in Los Angeles with the Chargers. And you went into that building and you won a critical game. You didn't want to start the season out 0-2 having to face Philadelphia at home. Philadelphia goes into that football game. I think, and I think this is an even better topic. Who do you think feels better about their start right now? The Eagles or the Cowboys? Who feels better about their start? Boy, that's a great one. You think the Eagles feel good about being 1-1 right now heading into Dallas? You know, that topic just came to me. And I'm pausing. Do you think they feel good? Who feels the best heading into this game on Monday? The Cowboys or the Eagles? Joey B says the Eagles happy not to be 0-2. Boy, I think both teams are happy. Because I don't think Nick Sirianni believed that he knew what he had. Because when you make those wholesale changes, head coach, offensive staff, defensive staff for that matter, and you really don't have a lot of practice time, and you really didn't have a lot of players playing in the exhibition season, I got to think the Eagles feel pretty good about being 1-1 because there was so much unknown. Stickin says, actually, let's go up there to Paul. Paul says, because the Eagles could have won their second game. Dallas won second and got moral victory in the first game. Okay, Paul. And quite frankly, like you're saying, Dallas could be 0-2, right? Dallas theoretically should be 0-2. Joey B, Dallas played Tampa till late in the game. Happy. Sticking. There are rumors around Westchester that there's a rift between coaches, front office, and starters. Huh? Well, that would bleed over then from last year, wouldn't it? That would be one of the things then that, quite frankly, would be injuring that football team once again when it comes to the team, again, not understanding where they are in the building right now when it comes to you've got to clean that stuff up and you've got to get that stuff out of there. You know, that's why you have turnover in your coaching staff like that. You have turnover in that staff because what you're trying to do every single thing in your power to make sure that that stuff doesn't come up again and that stuff sits there. And without a question, that stuff does not happen again like it did a year ago. You don't want any of that. You just don't want any of that stuff. So that's one of the major issues that you're looking at if you're the Philadelphia Eagles going into this scenario here. Okay? You do not want any of that old news that happened a year ago start to infiltrate back into your system. You got a lot of noise taken out of that room because when you make the coaching changes and you make the quarterback changes like that, Philly's now looking forward and looking through the front window. They're not in the rearview mirror here. They're not looking behind in any way whatsoever. So it's a big deal. In my opinion, you cleaned a lot of that noise out. So Dak Prescott, by the way, okay? He's got to show, in my opinion, this year that Dak has to show everyone that he is a top 10 quarterback. You know that Dak Prescott this year will make $75 million. Dak's going to make $75 million this year. By far the highest paid quarterback and by far the highest paid player. Dak's got to prove that he can win this year. I've made this point to you that in a game like this against Philadelphia coming up, these are the games that he has to start winning. He is 6-9 over the last 15 ball games that he has started for the Dallas Cowboys. And how many of those games were last-second games here? You know, just because you throw for a boatload of yards, hey, you want to hear something? I'm not sold that Dak Prescott's a franchise quarterback. I'm not paying that guy. I would have never paid Dak Prescott $42 million to be the starting quarterback on my team. I'd rather play somebody like Ryan Tannehill and build my football team like the Eagles are with the offensive defensive lines. So if my quarterback goes down, it's not completely a whitewash season. Nunez says, let's be honest, Dak can play, but he doesn't win when it counts. Nunez, not only that, but look what you're paying him. You're paying him $75 million this year because of his signing bonus with his new deal, and annually $42 million. Prove to me, show me why that guy is the highest paid guy in the league now. Why? Because of market value? Dude, I'm not playing market value pool here. I'm playing NFL football. That guy is not a top 10 quarterback. But he puts up a lot of yards. So what? What, at the end of the day, does that have to do with winning? I don't see it. That's why when the Eagles roll into that place, man, the pressure's got to be on the Cowboys. Who do you think goes? The Eagles have no pressure going into this game. Because here's the notion. Everybody still looks at the Eagles as being a 4-11-1 team. Okay? And they're kind of shocked because everyone is doing this right now, right? Hey, man, I'm kind of shocked that they're this good. It's kind of remarkable. Wow, they're really playing well. But in Dallas, you're doing this. Okay? Man, we got to win these games. Jerry Jones, Cowboys. Cowboys have to win this ball game, in my opinion. All right, let's take a brief timeout. We'll get back to your thoughts. Also, I do want to hit on, there's an amazing statistic about Tom Brady heading into this Rams game. And for the record, who has the pressure going into that Rams game? Is it Matthew Stafford? Is it Tom Brady? Who do you think? I mean, is there more pressure on Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts in this game on Monday night? Jalen Hurts has got pressure. If he wants to remain the starting quarterback of the Eagles, he's got to play great. It's not just one of these, well, if he sucks on Monday night, oh, well, you know what? He's growing. Nobody's got patience for that in the NFL. This is the NFL. This isn't college football or the amateur leagues. We'll take a timeout. You keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub. And in your drink. Go for the steaks. And the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, 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 and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa and Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back. National Football Show, Big Silk. So Carson Wentz is getting accused of being too reckless. What does that mean? You mean trying too hard? What a soft country we have today. Well, he's just too reckless with the way he plays the game. He plays it just too hard. Obviously, the only thing you've ever competed in is hopscotch, right? Or rolling dice. You've never actually competed in your life before. Every time I hear those pencil pushers, known as the sports media people, go, well, Carson Wentz, he plays reckless. I heard that today on a show. I was like, what is that exactly? Reckless? You mean a guy who's trying to play his ass off and play as hard as he possibly can, and he breaks his body up and leaves pieces of his body all over the country? Okay, you mean like Lamar Jackson? Well, Lamar plays too reckless. Man, shit, I love that. Are you kidding me? He's played the way Lamar Jackson plays? I want that all night long, man. He makes me watch television. He's doing cartwheels and flips. He's out on the hard cement covering a guy playing cornerback who's in the inner city. There's nothing not to like about Lamar Jackson. I mean, if you don't like Lamar Jackson, you're a hater. That dude is awesome to watch, and I love watching him play football. Ends up beating the Chiefs. That's the kind of guy that steps up and gets it done, man, and then beats one of the guys in the league. Would we not agree there's 3 dudes in the league to beat? And you know what's going to be funny? When you hear these 3 guys, okay, when you hear these 3 dudes, I'm not sure that you're not going to be shocked that I'm not going to name this other guy. It's Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson. He's one of the dudes. It's Tom Brady. And it's Patrick Mahomes. It's not Aaron Rodgers. Guy's won 1 NFC championship. He's 1-4. Whatever. This guy's Donovan McNabb. Okay? Right? I mean, there's certain guys, man, that are just the dude to beat. Big Chris says, haven't seen it since Michael Vick. Wait a minute, Big Chris. No, Chris, you're right, but he's better. He's bigger, and he's more physical. Hey, Andy Reid saved Michael Vick's quarterbacking career in Philadelphia because he didn't have to rely on his wheels as much. He actually became a quarterback throwing the football down the field. And he actually became somebody in the room where people were going like this, wow, this guy can really read defenses. Remember one of the comments that Vic made after the fact? He said this, man, Andy Reid taught me how to be a quarterback. David Wilson says, Brady, Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, Lamar, Stafford, Watson, Allen, Prescott. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, you got Dak as a 9th-rated quarterback in the league, David? So, David, I'll play a game with you, okay? All those quarterbacks right there that you mentioned, I won't mention because they're in front of your number when it comes to who the best quarterbacks in the game is. Muhammad, how you doing, brother? So let's take a look at that, right? Let's go around the room. I think you're correct because I'm starting to think. You would really take Dak Prescott over Kyler Murray? Really? Over Kyler Murray? Would you take Dak Prescott over Justin Herbert? No way. Now, this is unfair because he's not playing, and this is probably why you left him off your list. But Dak Prescott's no Deshaun Watson. So far right now, I've moved him out of the top 10. I think Kyler Murray is a great young prospect. I think Justin Herbert is a budding superstar. Okay, I do. And I think Deshaun Watson, wow. Taki M, man, says Dak Prescott is Ryan Tannehill. Hey, would it be fair to say I think Dak Prescott is Donovan McNabb? Is that fair, Eagle fans? Am I right when I say that Dak Prescott is Donovan McNabb? Okay, I see it, David. You're right. Isn't Dak Donovan? Dak Prescott's Romo? No, I think Tony Romo throws a better football. No, I said I'd take Tannehill over Prescott. Got you. Huh? Yeah, see, I mean, it's not that I don't respect Dak because I spent a boatload of time prior to him getting that contract telling you guys, I think Dak Prescott's one of the quarterbacks in the league that I just absolutely love as a face of a franchise. But at $42 million, I don't look at Dak and say this to you. Okay? This guy's going to change overnight the Cowboys. The Cowboys are lucky to be 1-1. They should be 0-2. Black of America, McNabb. You're absolutely right. I argue this a lot. Oh, I'm starting to, when I see Dak Prescott, I'm starting to think of Donovan McNabb because McNabb wasn't really a guy that would take off, and that was his first thing, take off and try to get yards with his legs. Donovan was a guy in the pocket that threw the ball, and that's kind of what Dak does. You know, Dak and him aren't really running quarterback kind of guys. Daniel Jones, he is Dave Brown. He does remind me of that loser. Dak is not worth $42 million. And dude, Muhammad, when you put that kind of money out there, that means you're going to have to restructure. No way. No way, Black of America. No way. Steve McNair, Dak Prescott, really? No way. Absolutely no way. I think Steve McNair was a stud. And I'm telling you, I think Steve McNair, you could make an argument that you could put him in the Hall of Fame. I am a freaking huge Steve McNair fan. I loved his toughness. I loved the way he threw the ball. I loved the way he played the game. Man, I'm a huge Steve McNair fan. He was so good, man. Oh, man, and by the way, too, I'm not throwing shade on Donovan. I think Donovan McNabb was a hell of a player. McNabb was way more like Dak because he was worth the money. Dion Hurts reminds me of Dak than Russell Wilson. McNair was, oh man, he was so good. Donovan McNabb would rather throw the ball. Absolutely, he'd rather throw the ball. Absolutely. No argument here. Good. Dak or Moon? Big Chris. Warren Moon threw for like 35,000 yards in like the Canadian League or 25,000 yards, something like that. And he threw for, I think, a total of 69,000 yards between both the CFL and the NFL. Warren was such a tough guy. Played into his mid-40s as well. You know, I mean, he didn't. Stinking McNair was stunted by bad teams. And Jeff Fisher. Look at the quarterbacks that Jeff Fisher's destroyed. I mean, you had a 31-19 Vince Young on your team, right? You had a 31-19 Vince Young on your team. And what did you do with him? You ran him off the field, and you ran him out of the organization. Sometimes those quarterbacks need a little bit more massaging. Some guys aren't the most mature guys. Look at Roethlisberger. You know what's funny about the thing with Roethlisberger early in his career? Remember he got in trouble with the league and he was suspended for conduct? You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers gave him an opportunity to turn his life around, and he did, and he lasted his entire career, and he'll retire a Steeler. Vince Young had a couple mishaps. Titans didn't want any part of it, and you know what they did? They ran him out of the organization, and he was 31-19. I'm not telling you that Vince Young was some gigantic superstar. He may have been the rookie of the year, too. I'm not sure he wasn't. I thought he was the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay, I did. I thought he was. 31-19, and they ran him out of there because of conduct issues. Hey, if you don't kill anybody or rape anybody or beat on old people or kill animals, I'm going to give you every opportunity to come back. Okay? I am. I'll give you every chance. But they didn't want to do it in Tennessee. I'll tell you something too, Joey. If I were the USC Trojans, Joey's talking about the Southern Cal opening, Del Rio or Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll tell you this, man. That Joe Barry guy in Carolina, he's got to get some looks. Won a national championship at LSU with Orgeron. That offense hasn't looked the same since Joe Barry left. I would not be shocked if Ed doesn't do a good job, that at the end of the year, Joe Barry gets offered the LSU job. Okay? But if I were Southern Cal, I would make these two calls. I would call Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers, and I would ask him just for an interview just to see if it's a fit. And if I were the Southern Cal people, I'd interview Byron Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy, Joe Barry, Jack Del Rio, Mario Cristobal. Those are kind of the guys that I'd be looking at. Okay? I mean, Byron Leftwich is going to be a coach somewhere, either in the college ranks or he's going to get a head coaching gig somewhere. Dak is Rodney Peete or Tony Banks. Those guys were very, very mediocre. Takim says David Carr ran out of Houston because Houston had a bad old line. One year he was sacked 69 times. 69 times. They beat him to a pulp, man. Okay, he did. Parsons is not going to have a field day with Mulata. No, I'll tell you this, though. Micah Parsons is showing me a lot, and he's showing me a lot of versatility. And I'll tell you guys, one thing you got to look at here with this young player that the Cowboys have got from Penn State, you know, and sometimes when you go through a little bit of adversity because DeMarcus Lawrence's injury is going to keep him out probably another 5 weeks, they put his hand down, and they rushed him off the corner, and they stood him up, and they rushed him. You're finding versatility in him. Those are kind of the players that Bill Belichick made an absolute career of going out in the NFL draft and finding. I mean, it's so difficult when you can do this. You could take your best player, turn it into a 4-3 front, and then maybe stand him up and drop into a 34 front. Anytime you're playing against young quarterbacks, confusion is the most important thing that you could possibly learn if you're a young quarterback. Know this, you're going to get different fronts. You're going to get different banjo coverages. You're going to get different press coverages. You're going to get a walk-up defense. That is the number one thing that really young quarterbacks struggle with all the time. They struggle with that all the time when it comes to that, is learning that these coordinators in the NFL, they're constantly adjusting on the side. That's just who they are and how they go about their game. So, end of the day here, you see a lot of young guys really struggle with the process. And to me, those are special people that can sit there and get the defense guys going. Smile says, Troy Brown was the jack of all trades. God, was he good. You could play him at defensive back. You could play him at wide receiver. How many times did Bill Belichick even drop him into special teams? He was like the Swiss Army watch, or knife, I should say, right? He was like the Swiss Army knife. You could use him and do anything with him. And those were the kind of players that New England was getting. Look at what they did with the wide receiving core in New England. Just to talk a little bit about personnel and how they look at their personnel. I mean, they found Amendola. They got, Wes Welker in a trade from the Dolphins after the Dolphins got him from San Diego when he was with the Chargers. I mean, look at what they did with Edelman. These guys were all players. I mean, remember that guy Chris Hogan that was on the team? Those were all type of players and role players. They built that team the same way that almost the same way they built the Chicago Bulls. Think about what they did in Chicago. It's a really great learning lesson, and I think that the Eagles should take a little bit of what they did in Chicago. Think about it for a second. Every single player on that Bulls championship run with Michael Jordan, every player was a role player to Jordan, including Pippen. I mean, all the 5 guys that they had in there, right? Bill Cartwrights, the Luke Longleys, right? Those dudes. Those guys were just players. Then you would add a Tony Kukoc. Then you had Paxton and Kerr at the perimeter, taking threes. You had Horace Grant or Dennis Rodman, right? Those were all role players so that Jordan didn't have to go out there and be like a Michael Westbrook, right? And go out there and do everything and play every single position. You know what I'm saying? Getting triple doubles. Hey, that's great, dude. That's great. But at the end of the day, bottom line was you're not winning championships. Nunez, Brian Mitchell was a jack of all trades. And in my opinion, Brian Mitchell is a Hall of Fame player. He's a special talent. That guy can play, man. David says, one thing about Philly, the defense is set for no runs up the middle and no passes over the top. David, that's going to be so critical going into this game against the Cowboys. Okay? So critical going into this game against Dallas. Nothing plus 25. Keep that yards per carry down to 2.9. Now, you got this kid, Tony Pollard, who's coming into the game, and he's averaging 7.1. That's going to be quite a challenge for the front seven of the Eagles going into this game. You know, it's kind of hard to always build up a game when it's on Monday night. That's always been kind of like, you know, the hidden gem of playing on Monday night. The fan base gets a little bit more time and a weekend to amp up for a game like Dallas. So you get more opportunities to really look at what's going to really try to shake out on Monday night. As I said, I think I just think there's so much pressure on Dak in this game to beat the Eagles. He comes out of that game and he loses that game and they go 1-2. And Philadelphia goes to 2-1. Hey, Dallas, look at the games. And by the way, it's almost must win for both teams. Do we not agree? Because again, Panthers, Raiders, Chiefs, and then the Buccaneers. This is not going to be an easy stretch here. In any, this is going to be absolutely incredible, this stretch. Black of America says 23-17 Eagles. All right. There's an anniversary today. I want to hit on it. You keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub. And in your drink. Go for the steaks. And the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. Glasses for cocktails, right?
It's for this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of stateside vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back. National Football Show, Dan Sileo. Jason Cole in Hour 2, our NFL insider we weekly get to. Wrote a book on John Elway. One of our great friends that's been with us for a long time. And, of course, you. Florida Gators, no thank you. I'll take none. Okay? Hey, by the way, real quick, before we get into a little bit with Tom Brady and back to Eagles and Cowboys here. So Antonio Brown is in COVID-19 protocol? Interesting. I thought Bruce Arians said every single Buccaneer was vaccinated, that the Bucs were 100% vaccinated. Oh, so a guy who's got both shots has come down with COVID-19 again? Wow. And you wonder why people out there are, how about this? I won't even use the phrase questioning. How about just like asking a question? I thought you guys, when you got these 2 shots, I thought you were like in the clear. Oh, no, but there's now a new booster thing you need. How do I know that that's the last one? I mean, right? So, quite frankly, it really doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. You're still going to catch it. So, I mean, I'm just wondering how the NFL looks at it like that. Hey, Smile, I predict no NFL players die this season either. God forbid, right? Real quick here. You guys see Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's personal guru that keeps his body in shape for him, throwing shade at Belichick? Bill never evolved into understanding who Tom was. Don't you love this new Tom Brady? You know what? I'll make a point to you, man. You ready? I almost hate the fact that Brady played in New England. I mean, I like this guy. This guy throws shots at everyone. He kind of hammers Aaron Rodgers a little bit. He and Peyton Manning have a great relationship. Manning's now drilling him on the Monday night broadcast with his brother, throwing little darts at him. I love it, man. I love the whole thing, actually. And I just love this Tom Brady. And the father even came out. Tom Sr. Yeah, it justifies who Brady is. It validates him. He was more important in the dynasty run than what Bill was. I believe that. I totally believe he was. I always think the players, though, have more responsibility when it comes to winning championships. Like I talked about the Bulls team. I think Phil's a great coach, but the players that were on those rosters, I mean, look who he had. He had Shaq and Kobe, and he had Pippen and Jordan. And Rodman. I don't know. I think you're going to win some championships if you got those dudes on your team, right? So who are the guys that you coached to those championships? Oh, yeah. I had Jordan and Pippen and Rodman. Oh, who else? Shaq and Kobe. Well, okay. I'm glad you won all those championships and those 10 titles. I could guarantee you it wasn't Paul Gasol that was delivering those titles or Tony Kukoc. Right? I mean, coaches are important, but dude, man. Nunez says Brady was the 199th pick, and to see what he's done is absolutely crazy. It is, Nunez. Get this, I was the 57th player or 56th player taken in the 88 NFL draft. I was drafted ahead of Joe Montana, okay? And Brady's 199. Bro, 199, Tom Brady. That is the second greatest story I've ever seen. The other story's got to be the Kurt Warner story. Guy's putting ketchup bottles on a shelf along with mustard bottles, and 3 years later he wins the Super Bowl MVP. I don't know. That to me, okay? To me, I think that story is incredible. Let's get back into this Cowboys and Eagles. You know what? Would we agree? Do you think the fan base is cut down the middle when it comes to Jalen and how much time we give him? Is it cut down the middle, you think? Half the fan base thinks he's not good enough. The other half thinks he is good enough. Okay? Where are we with that? See, to me, again, I just don't have enough intel. I will know after these 5 games. And every person that I bring on here who has that conversation says the same thing. They say the same thing about him. I'm just not sold. I'm just not sure. Like when you saw Lamar Jackson playing and you saw the progressive impact that he had the next year. Guys, I said this before, and I'll talk a little more about Lamar here. But, man, when I saw him first play against the Chargers and when they gave him the starts, the final stretch of the season, then he got into the playoffs against the Chargers, I personally went like this. This guy will never play it down. He won't be in the league in 5 years. This guy's terrible. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. Okay? Right? Okay? I mean, you just didn't think he was going to be in the league. All of a sudden now, you're wondering what the contract's going to look like. If you were the Ravens, how would you construct that contract? How would you construct that contract if you were Baltimore? Seeing the style of play that he has. You know it hits just a little bit away. And this is what you're trying to keep Jalen Hurts away from. You know, all of you guys have been saying, I want him to be a little bit more like Donovan and Russell Wilson. Know when to slide. You know, you're not going to be Lamar Jackson. That guy's a freak of nature. Okay? I mean, dude, that guy's a freak. Nunez says you have to give him time. Now he knows that it's up to the front office to make that decision. Sportsman Philly, I can't understand why Hurts couldn't fling the ball into the middle of the field, into the middle to find Dallas, and that is very worrisome sign. But Sportsman, that may have been the play calling too. That may be still Nick Sirianni trying to figure out what Jalen does best. Because really, they haven't had a lot of game time experience. I mean, if you think about it, he didn't see but limited time in the exhibition season. Look at how much game time Nick Sirianni's had to work with him. It's not been a lot. That's why I thought, and there was a lot of people on this channel, and there were a lot of people saying, why aren't they playing more in the exhibition season? I think this is the fundamental issue that you guys are talking about. How come they're not more middle passes? How come we're not threatening the middle? That's usually where the tight end sits on the seam. I get what you're saying. You're right. But I think that comes with experience in games. I think those guys have to do a little bit better job at being able to spread the ball out. You're right. By the way, the plus 25 plays, I do think you have to have a couple chuck plays in there somewhere, especially when you have Watson on the perimeter. You want to keep the defense honest that you have a game-breaking guy. And I think the Eagles can develop a guy into that. Single read and improvise. See, that's great in college. That's great in college when you can do that. Single read. And know this, in college, they tell you where to throw the ball. When you're in the NFL, you have to know where to throw the ball. When Brady goes back, Brady does this. Just so you know, this is what Jalen Hurts' responsibility is. You guys, I'm not sure you understand, or maybe you do because you guys are really great and knowledgeable fans. This is what a quarterback is doing when he comes to the line of scrimmage. Here, I'll tell you exactly what he's doing. He comes to the line of scrimmage. What's the first thing he does? He recognizes the front. He's got to tell the offensive line, make sure this doesn't fall. He's got to take and tell the offensive line, odd or even. Are you going to have man blocking? Are you going to have zone blocking? Okay, it's a pass probe. Okay, who's picking up the nose? Middle pressure is one of the worst things you can have on a quarterback is middle pressure. You know, everybody's always like, you want to get that perimeter pressure. Quarterback steps up. How many times you see him complete the pass? When you get that middle pressure and you get guys coming up the middle, that's what really makes Aaron Donald a special pass rusher, because the majority of the time he's rushing the passer off the guard. And when you have that kind of pressure and you get perimeter pressure, there's nowhere to stand, and you get kind of like boxed in the pocket. So the first thing Jalen does when he comes to the line is he's got to recognize the blocking schemes. If it's a run play, is it going to be scoop and slip, which means get up to the linebackers, or is it just going to be a short yardage play? Or are we going to do a screen? So he's got to – first thing that's a hard thing, because what do guys do? They move the front. They slide, right? Then you've got to find the free safety. Where is he? Is he in the middle of the field? Is he on a seam? Is he helping out weak side, or is he helping out strong side? Is he boxing up to the tight end, making sure that the tight end doesn't get over the top? Because in today's NFL, that free safety most of the time is secondary help to the tight end. So you've got to make sure you're sitting here doing this. You're watching the guy. And so know this, what I've just said. So when he comes to the line of scrimmage, he's got to set the blocking scheme. He's got to find a free safety. We haven't even hiked the ball yet. Then he's got to make sure if he sees a guy coming up, what if he sees a linebacker stepping up? Does he keep the back in for max protection? Or does he send him out in the flat for being a guy that he can go to in case the pressure gets a little too much back there? So he's got to set the blocking scheme, find a free safety, talk to his running back if it's max protection, or if go out, block, and then release. He's got to tell his tight end the same thing. Stay in for max protection, block, and release. You haven't even talked to the wideouts yet. You haven't even got there yet. And that's why you wait until the final seconds before you snap the ball, because you know what the defensive guy will do, the linebacker? He'll go back into coverage, or he'll come back up and press the line of scrimmage because he thinks you're running the ball. Jonathan Vilma was great at that. He would do that all the time to Peyton Manning. So all these things, that's one play. You've got to do that 65 times in a game. And you're talking about a guy in Jalen Hurts who has had limited practice time. Okay? Limited practice time with his quarterback. That's why when people are saying, Dan, let's give him more time to succeed here and give him more time to mature. You're right. By the way, Joey B., Steve Martello was a dear friend of mine. I love the guy, man. One of the absolutely great college football players of all time. Just a super player. Okay, is Dallas better than what we've seen in the last 5 years? Is this the best team that Dak is going to play on, that this Eagle team's going to be playing against? We'll take a look at that. Also, Brady versus Matthew Stafford. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub. And in your drink. Go for the stakes. And the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. Glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, 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 and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Dan Sileo, National Football Show. You guys are punks. You guys are punks, man. And I love it, though. I tell you why. So, Xander's a little late getting into the break at the top of the hour. Hey, Xander, where the hell are you? What are you, asleep at the wheel? Dude, he's just a couple seconds late. You know, it's live TV, you know. Hey, you know, right? I never get pissed at that stuff because it's live TV, correct? But when you get Philly or you get East Coast or you get hardcore sports fans, Yo. Oh. What do you think? I'm Big Ben here, guy? Okay, what do you think? I'm Big Ben? I got all day long to sit around here and watch you guys farting around all day long. Let's get to it. Okay? Come on, let's go right now, man. You see, in California, you could do this. Oh, yeah. Hey, Xander, no worries, man. It's Commie, California. Hey, by the way, would you like to come over for tea and crumpets? We could sit in our foyer. Because you see, out in the West, they have foyers. In the East Coast, we have front porches. In California, we have extra rooms downstairs. Back east, they're basements. Okay, back east, they're basements. Oh, yes, you should see the new room that we've, that we've dressed up. Oh, it's wonderful. It's upstairs in the 3rd floor. It's an extra room again. Back east, it's the attic that we fixed up and threw some paint on the wall and said, "Oi, this is the getaway guy cave." Right? Out here in California. Okay. There's foyers and lounge areas out west. Back east, it's like you're laying on your floor watching TV and you're ready for this, and you're in your shorts or you're in your underwear and nobody's home. You don't want anybody over. Here was a great day at my grandfather's house. My pop laying on the floor having a cigar with a towel, watching Giants and Eagles, chawing on a cigar in his boxer shorts going, "Hey, man, look at this game. This game's damn good, right?" Heck, Pop. It's damn good. Guy's laying on the show. He goes like this. And that's why he didn't like people over during football on Sundays because that meant he had to put his pants on. My grandpa used to watch his favorite football teams in his boxer shorts. In California, they're not boxers. They're briefs. With a glass of wine. Cake bread, too, thank you. I'm more partial to Duckhorn. More on the Merlot side. So, Xander, get off your ass. Like, Jesus. It's all good, man. Oh, boy. David says, I'm not sold on Rieger. Man, that guy's so hot and cold, David. He's so hot and cold, right? One day he looks like, a world beater. Then the next day you're doing this, right? Crazy. This kid here, man. You know what makes him a really, here, I'm going to tell you about my boy Xander here for a second. This guy's a miserable dude. I'm going to tell you why he's miserable. Tom Brady's miserable. Michael Jordan's miserable. Because you know why? Guys like that don't have finish lines. They're constantly looking for the finish line. There is no finish line, which makes you miserable because you're constantly never satisfied. You're never satisfied with anything you do. You could have $1 million in your pocket. That would not make you feel better. I'm a miserable dude. No matter what I do, no matter what why do you think Tom Brady can't retire? Tom Brady can't retire because there's nothing left in his life to fulfill that absolute love of winning. Okay? You just completely want winning. Some of these great, great people that have been superstar guys. Look at Tiger. Tiger's never satisfied when it comes to winning. All these guys are like that. All of them. Joey B went to Bama. He was happy there. The sorority pool parties. They got pool parties in Alabama? Oh, that's right. They don't have them like Miami, though, right? Think about, hey, Joey, think about Alabama's like sorority parties. Hey, how you doing? Who are you talking to? I got to tell you my Bama recruiting story. Let me tell you my Alabama recruiting story. This is gonna. Hey, I'll tell you two of them. I'll tell you my Notre Dame, and I'll tell you my Bama story. So, I was getting recruited by. It's funny, Ray Perkins, and I ended up playing for Coach when Coach was the Buccaneer coach, and he just gotten the Alabama job at Bear Bryant. Okay, Bear Bryant names him head coach and all this, but I don't know. So I get a call from the Bama guys. Dan, hey, this is Mike Dubose down here in Alabama. And they always hollered. I never knew why. You're on the phone. You know, you're not calling me in a teacup. Dan, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I guess that Mason-Dixon line, the connection was a little weird, right? Anyway. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Hey, we're going to be up in that neck of the woods. Coach Bryant was like eyeballing you because you went to the Namath camp. See how I got in front of the Alabama guys? Joe Namath had a football camp at Quinnipiac, Connecticut, and it was a full contact camp. I went there and became the MVP of the defensive side of the football. I was coached by Joe Namath was there, and Sugar Bear Hamilton, Winston Hill, Phil Villapiano. He brought a whole boatload of guys in there. And John Hanna was there. And so John Hanna started teaching me, and John Hanna, the legendary Alabama guy who went up to the New England Patriots, said, hey, look, man, I'm gonna tell the people at Bama about you, man. You're just a truck. I went up there and I killed everything that moved. Okay? I mean, I did. I hit everything that moved. And these schools were coming from all over Alabama and all over the East Coast, Don Bosco, everywhere. I'm from this little school in Connecticut, Stanford Catholic, and I go up there and kill everything. Get a little trophy, MVP, anyway. So the Bama guys, hey, how'd you like to come down for a visit? I'm just going, why are you hollering? Yeah, Coach, that sounds like a cool deal. I've never been really down south except for Florida, going to Disney World and all. I've never been to Alabama. You'll love it. It's a great place. So I'm on the phone with the guys, and I go, well, Coach, before we make any kind of commitment here or anything, do you have any Italian restaurants? He thought it was a weird question. Yeah. We got a place called Little Italy and Tony Romo's. I go, Tony Romo's is not really an Italian restaurant. It's got Italian food, but it's not really Italian restaurant. And I go, well, so this other place, Little Italy, who's the cook? Sung Lee. I said, well, wait, excuse me. You mean Vito Anafermo or some Italian name? Giuseppe Di Paccio. Okay? Giuseppe Di Paccio was the cook at Little Italy in Tuscaloosa. No, it's Sun Lee. So I said, so you got a guy. Yeah, he had a Chinese place forever down here in Tuscaloosa, closed it, and decided to open up an Italian restaurant. I said, okay. I'm sure it's a wonderful place. And I was like, oh, it's great, man. I mean, the meatballs they make, I'm like, I'm sure. I said, so how many Italian guys have you had on your roster? You ever hear of Johnny Musso? I'm like, Johnny Musso? Yeah, I heard of Johnny Musso. I said, Coach, I don't think Bama's for big sales. I don't think Bama's, your cook at Little Italy, Tuscaloosa Italian restaurant is Sung Lee. I don't know. Sung Lee? Okay, he must be a Northern Italian. Robert says that Brooks won't be out all season, but he'll definitely miss the first 8 weeks. Damn. You know what, though, Robert? Another guy, man, banged up on that Eagles team, right? 3 years in a row now? 3 years in a row now, dude. I don't know. It's got to get to a point where you start doing this. Hey, here's a couple places that are making that conversation. If you're in Indianapolis, aren't you now doing this? Should we draft a quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft? I mean, Wentz is always hurt. And if you're down in Miami now, So Tagovailoa's banged up again. Right? Joey B wants a Miami story. All right, here. So I get recruited to go to Notre Dame. I go to this like completely religious and button-up place called Stanford Catholic. Like, yeah, I worked. I know some of you may not believe this. Man, I love Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson, you could play into your late 30s when you're an old lineman. I really like him. I like that guy, Kelsey, though. Man, that guy's some football player, second-level guy. So I take my recruiting trip to Notre Dame. And, they get me to go there and all this and that. I had to wear a tie my entire time in high school. No jeans, no sneakers. Big Sills wore a tie to school every day. My grandmother ironed my shirt. Of course, by the end of the day, I'd have my tie around my head, and I'd be in Sister Marjorie Fish's office, and she'd be telling me to assume the position. You got paddled until you were a sophomore in that school back in the day. Can you imagine hitting a kid today in school? Holy cow. Sister Marjorie Fish, she had biceps. She had biceps that looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, she looked like The Rock, all bowed up. Hey, watch it, Birdman. Sister Marjorie Fish, she came from a correctional institution. And she was like our new dean of discipline. Dan Sileo, please come to the office. And everybody everyone in the homeroom would go, ooh. Ooh. And I'd be like, damn, I didn't have my tie on. I guarantee you it's that. Sister Fish would go, you know how much I love you. God loves you. I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be a tough one. I could tell already. She had to paddle with the holes in it, too. Whew. Man. Right? Assume the position. And then you heard that wind come whistling through. Boom! Right? And you're like, oh, God, okay. And all of a sudden, it was like bees. It was like bees stinging you. Bam! So I take my recruiting trip. I show up to Notre Dame. Back in the day, it wasn't co-ed yet. And Big Sills is walking around going like this. Look, where are the chicks? I'm asking Jerry Felt, where are the chicks? And they go like this. They're at St. Mary's. St. Mary's. So wait a minute. You don't have women here at Notre Dame? Well, yeah, they intermingle with St. Mary's. I'm like, no chicks, no Big Sills. Sills don't go to an all-dude school. And not going, and that ain't working for me. He goes, where's your next trip? I go, Miami. I'll be knee-deep in it. No chicks, no Sills. Snow drifts and all. Not happening. DJ says, see Mulatto running a. Hey, did you see that that Jordan Mulatto was the third highest rated offensive tackle for the week, according to PFF? And Trent Williams was ranked ahead of him a little bit. Hey, Joey, no chicks, no Big Sills. That wasn't working. Yeah, so, we don't have women. Oh, well, that ain't working. I just walked through 10 feet of snow. I'm going to be walking through sand in sandals next week. You're going to Miami then, right? I'm going, yeah. It's 14 below. I got back to my high school, and they said, so the nun said that you said to send you home because you didn't want to go to school there. I said, yeah. And I go, they put me on a bus and sent me home. They did. They sent me. I go like this because Jerry Fouts wanted me to jump up and touch the rim. And I could slam back in the day a Nerf ball. And so, I was like, I'm not jumping up there, dude. I came here to play football. I was a linebacker / defensive end in high school. And I was like this. I'm not doing that. I go, and by the way, man, when's the last time you guys won a boatload of games? They started getting really crappy with me. And I started saying, well, this ain't for me. And they go, you'll probably play your sophomore year or your junior year. And I go, Jerry, you guys were 6-5. Are you kidding me? And so when we beat the piss out of them 58-7, I went like this to him. Bye-bye, Jer. Holtz got the job the next day. Bye-bye, Jer. My nuns, when I got home, went, I couldn't believe that you were so mean to the guys at Notre Dame. I'm like, they could kiss my ass. Nerf ball. No chicks, no Big Sills. Okay? Oh, hey, sticking. I had communion. I had communion every day in high school. Yeah, we did communion every day. You know, the wafer. I used to tell Father Bob, give me about 3 more. I needed it wasn't a good week so far. I need a couple good grades. Father Bob would look over at me and go like this. Come on, Sills. Come on, man. Hey, you guys buying the Raiders? Sitting at 2-0. Now they got the Dolphins and an injured Miami Dolphin team. No Tua Tagovailoa. You buying it? Raiders do look improved, don't they? By the way, that team's on the Eagles schedule too. I believe they're after Panthers. You know that football team could be, 4-0 heading into the Philly week? Okay, not buying them, not yet. I'll tell you what, Derek Carr's playing some pretty good football, though. Okay, Derek Carr's playing good football. They need to prove a little bit more in their run tack, and they need to get after the quarterback a little more. But the Raiders have improved on defense. They have clearly improved. Get this. The 2 most improved teams are on the Eagles' schedule, Carolina and the Raiders. Okay? Right? Carolina looks like how about Carolina's defensive front? Hey, folks, I think the tougher game is going to be after Dallas when you play Carolina. Sam Darnold's doing a really great job. And that defense, I think they're leading the league in sacks right now, Carolina. And Christian McCaffrey is getting the ball, and Matt Rule is doing a great job on getting him the ball. Pour you one, Stickin'? There you go. We're good. All right. Hey, let's take a timeout. We got Jason Cole coming up soon. We're going to go around the league. Football tonight, Thursday night as well. We'll talk more about the Eagles and the Cowboys. You keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub. And in your drink. Go for the steaks. And the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. Glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back. National Football Show, Dan Sileo. You got to love my family. My wife has been my producer. She hasn't been for the last couple years, but she was for like 15 years on my national show on Fox Sports Radio and pretty much all the places, KMBR and all that. And she overheard me say something about Westbrook. She goes, "Since when does Michael Westbrook play basketball?" I said that? She's like, "Yeah. It's Russell Westbrook." In case we're keeping score here. You know, hey, you're trying to do a show. I mean, I just want you to be right. Sorry about that. You know, that's my wife for you. Let's get the names right. Okay, let's see if we can work on that. By the way, I skipped over the anniversary today. Oh, Jason Cole from Fansided will be with us, our NFL insider. He's with us every single week. We also have, okay, right here, a book you get. Dude, successful people are miserable because there's no finish line. You're always looking for the next great thing to succeed at. Most people that are hybrid like that, I mean, all the greats are. Look at Brady. Brady's driven by success. He's constantly driven by success. By the way, the anniversary is today of Tom Brady. You know what today is? You ready? Oh, smile. Hey, smile. She'll call. Hey, oh, wait a minute. Just so you guys know, here's what my wife will do. When I used to do like radio and I was knee deep in radio, I did it for 27 years. I'd be sitting there and I'm doing my show and all of a sudden I get a text. Boring. Like boring. And I'm sitting there and my producer would go, what's your wife saying now? Well, she's saying this guest is boring. Gotta get him off. Just get him off. This guy sucks. Get him off. Nobody cares. Oh, boring. Whatever, or this one, whatever you're talking about right now, change it because it sucks. Okay. Here's my wife's style of producing. It kind of reminds me of Xander a little. Move off it. It sucks. Today's anniversary is the day that Mo Lewis knocked Drew Bledsoe out of the game, and it started the Brady dynasty. Today's the 20th anniversary of that. It is when Tom Brady steps into the room, becomes Tom Brady. Bledsoe gets knocked out, and Tom goes on to this incredible career. Opportunity. Look at that. Think of this for a minute. Tom Brady sitting on the bench. They had just given Drew Bledsoe a brand new $117 million contract. They gave him $17 million in a signing bonus. They just gave him this. He gets hurt. Brady comes in. Okay? Think of this for a minute. He comes in, and he doesn't play all that hot, but he comes back the next day. I think it was the Rams. And he's really good. And all of a sudden, Belichick and the coaches go like this. Okay? But they kind of saw it in practice that Tom knew all the reads. He knew what was being asked of him. I forget who the coordinator was. It may have been Charlie Weiss. That was the coordinator at the time of that Patriots team. I think it was Charlie Weiss. And they ended up, hey, man, they ended up putting him in. And don't you remember what even happened that year? So Brady gets all the way to the AFC Championship game. He gets injured. Remember in the playoffs? They put Bledsoe back in. Bledsoe beats the Steelers. And then Belichick had to do this. Jesus, man. Do we go back to the guy? And you know, Bob Kraft was thinking, why'd we pay Drew Bledsoe $17 million? Why'd we give him a signing bonus like that? Right? Let's bring Jason Cole in on this here, because today is that anniversary. And I bring my friend in. Jason, today is the 20th anniversary that Drew Bledsoe gets knocked out of the game. And Brady steps in. And he goes out and he ends up being this guy. I mean, just shows you what opportunity is for you. And that whole year, what people don't realize is that Bledsoe wins a playoff game against the Steelers. He wins the AFC Championship game. And then Belichick has to decide who to start. Yeah. Does he start Brady or does he start Bledsoe? And Bledsoe had just gotten a $100 million contract, if I'm not mistaken. So it shows you how things kind of progressed for Tom Brady. Today was the day that gave him the opportunity.
Yeah, and I remember that. I remember seeing him a few weeks later, and I was like, this kid seems all right. And, you always felt like that the first 3 years as he's starting, he's winning a Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, I see some things. I see calm under pressure, all those kinds of things. But I'm not seeing spectacular arm. I'm not seeing big time throws like off your back foot from Drew Bledsoe, that he could do. He could uncork a 60-yard throw falling backwards kind of thing that Bledsoe could do. But that tells you that's not what the position is about. What the position is about is about accuracy. It's about decision making. Yes, there are physical skills you have to have, but you don't have to have off the chart physical skills. You have to have good enough physical skills to make certain throws and do certain things so that you can get by. But the really important thing is, how do you manage the game? How do you make decisions? And do you put the ball in the right place? That's ultimately what it is.
How about this, Jace? Have you been stunned with what Brady's doing right now in his mid-40s now? We're talking about a guy in a couple weeks who's going to throw more touchdown passes in his 40s than he did in his 20s. He just comes off the heels of winning a 7th Super Bowl. I mean, we're in a different area now, aren't we, when we're talking about this guy? I mean, Warren Moon had success into his mid-40s somewhat, but this is really rare air we're in right now with this guy that we're talking. And where I'm going with this point is, don't you agree, when you're somebody like LT or Reggie White or Jerry Rice, if you can't explain it, these are why one of these guys are part of the top 5 guys, greatest players in the history of the sport, when you just can't really explain this guy's greatness.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. I will say this. I think we sometimes forget about certain guys who did comparable things in other eras, okay, such as Unitas, right? Like Unitas, when he played, put the numbers so far out, and even deep into his 30s, and was competitive deep into his 30s. And we forget about that. It's sort of like we forget in basketball, there was this guy named Wilt Chamberlain who played, right? And, Wilt was great enough that he would make Akeem Olajuwon look silly, right? And if he played in this era, those kinds of things. And so we forget about some of those athletes, but we're still talking about a guy who you're in the single digits. Like, you're not going beyond 2 hands in the number of people who are in that category in this game, right? So yes, it is completely rare. But I will also say this: we got a lot of guys playing into their late 30s and in their 40s right now, who, if they played in the 60s or 70s or 80s, aren't getting past 35 or 36. I mean, right. It's just a different game. There's nothing wrong. I don't blame them for that, but you don't get hit in this era. You don't take the punishment that you used to take, and you throw to wide open guys, all the time, because the rules are just a completely different game. So, nothing wrong with that, but 600 touchdown passes. The record was 342 for a long, long time. And that was pretty meaningful. It was hard to throw a touchdown pass in the past. It's not so hard today.
It used to be hard to throw a 300-yard passing game back in the day, and now that's commonplace now in the National Football League. That leads me to the game this weekend. Any pressure you think on Matthew Stafford and the Rams versus the Buccaneers, or is this more of a visual game? And what I mean by that, Jace, is, everybody's seeing them get out of the gate. They're throwing the ball down the yard. You're seeing plus 25 plays when it comes to the Rams. He's looking like he's fitting in, more of a running attack there. Is this more of a game where people are going to be watching to see how the Rams stack up versus the Buccaneers, or do you think there's any kind of pressure on Stafford at all? Because he was brought in to win games like this.
I think there's pressure on Stafford every week, every play, every situation. This is the justification of his career, right? Like, you've waited all this time to have a good coach and a good system with good players around you to complement your skills. You've been given that. Now go prove it to us, right? Go prove to us that you're the man, right? That's what this is all about. So to me, and now when you measure yourself up you're going against the greatest quarterback of all time and a prominent Super Bowl contender. Yeah, like, put up or shut up. And I know that this game is not going to have a lot to do with what happens at the end of the season. Like, we're not going to look back at this game. If they play again in the playoffs somewhere along the line, this game is probably not going to relate to that game a lot because the teams are going to change so much and the situations are going to change so much. There's not going to be a lot that you're going to be able to harvest from that. But it's still a statement game. And it's still, for Stafford and for McVay, the pressure is on them to perform.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let me get to the Monday night game a little bit here. A lot of interest with Eagles and Cowboys. You think Jerry and Steven and Mike McCarthy are happy going into this Eagle game at 1-1? You think they're happy with their performance so far out of the gate?
Well, I mean, whatever Jerry says is a lie. So, and you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I get it.
I mean, look, I think that they believe that they should have already won the Super Bowl, right? for this season. Like, we made all these fantastic moves. Why don't you just give us the trophy right now? I believe that that's how Jerry thinks, which is one of their problems, right? Like, they get ahead of themselves all the time as to whether they're actually any good. They don't have a grinder's mentality. That's always been the Cowboys' issue. As long as ever since Jimmy left, and the remnants of what Jimmy built left, they have not had that kind of, we got to go step by step and grind this. I mean, Parcells a little bit, but Jerry got tired of Parcells as soon as he got the new stadium, and Jerry wanted to play again. So Jerry plays, and Jerry thinks on paper that he's got a Super Bowl winner every year, and it just ain't happening. Okay. So no, I don't think they're happy with where they are. I don't think they're really going to be happy unless they win a Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and the rest of the Jones family, and even Mike McCarthy to a certain extent, they go home, they lay in bed, and they count their money, and they're happy with that.
No, I think they love being Dallas Cowboy players and really not NFL's football players. I think that's always been a problem in Dallas. And let me go to Philly here. Here's Philly's next run here with Jalen Hurts here. They got the Cowboys coming up on Monday night. Then they got the Panthers. Then they got a improved Raider team. And by the way, for that matter, Matt Rule has done a hell of a job with what the Panthers are doing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're number one, and I think in sacks, and Christian McCaffrey's getting the ball. Then you turn around and you play Kansas City, and then you got the Buccaneers. I mean, these next 5 games, we're going to find out whether or not Jalen Hurts is a guy that this football team's got value with. Are we not? Because, again, I mean, you're in a position right now where you've got to win some of these games. And if you think this guy's the guy, or is it more so this, Jace, you just want to see improvement in these games? What are the Eagles playing for, I guess I'm asking here?
Well, to me, they're looking to find out, do they have a franchise quarterback? And I don't necessarily measure that by wins at this point in time under a first-year head coach, but I'm measuring it by, are you making good decisions? Are you keeping us in games? Do we have things around you? Do we see development? Or are we still on the Deshaun Watson path that we're going to go get him somewhere down the line or make some big bid for him or whatever it happens to be, right? Like, yeah, I think that's the main question. Winning these games would take you an awful long distance towards believing that's the guy. But I'm always into the deeper analysis of, is this really truly a franchise quarterback? Am I seeing things that are going to make him a franchise quarterback long term? And I don't always just say that's a matter of W's and L's. It's about situational football, because you can win some lucky games. Let's face facts. Do you really think that Derek Carr has all of a sudden become a franchise quarterback because they're 2-0 this year?
No, I think they're just getting protection, and they're actually getting after people on defense. And I don't know if they sustain it at all. And now they run into an injured Miami team without Tua. They could be 3-0 and still big question marks on the team. So I'm with you.
I don't trust the Raiders at all. And I'm not sure that at the end of these 5 games, I'm going to have any greater trust in Jalen Hurts or not, no matter what they do. But unless, I have to see what the games look like and how they play. It's like you go back to the game between Baltimore and Kansas City, and Lamar Jackson makes some big plays, and I don't think he's any closer to being a truly great quarterback today than before that game, even though they finally beat Kansas City. That game didn't tell me anything about Lamar Jackson that I didn't already know, which is I still think he's got problems in third down situations. He just happened to be going up against a defense that was pretty that's not good yet. Spagnuolo hasn't got those guys on the same page yet, and he took advantage of it. So good for him, but it didn't tell me any more about Lamar Jackson. Just like I want to see Jalen Hurts do certain things that tell me whether he's a franchise quarterback or not, and the W's and L's aren't they aren't the single indicator to me of whether he's that guy.
2 last guys for you here, and you mentioned Lamar Jackson. What do you think a Lamar Jackson contract should look like? He beats Kansas City, like you said. He was 30-5 against the rest of the league going into that Kansas City game, and he was 0-3 versus KC. He showed a little bit of a propensity to come from behind. It was a big signature win on his resume, beating one of those dudes like Brady, Russell Wilson, and him. I think those are your 3 guys that you have to beat to be considered in the conversation. But what do you do if you're the Ravens? I mean, what kind of you're not going to put a 10-year contract in front of him like Mahomes got in Kansas City just because the style of play. How's it going to look? How do you put a deal together for him?
I don't know, 5 years, 35, 36, 37, $38 million.
Like Dak's deal?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, that's what the going rate is. Now, do I like doing that? Of course not. Okay.
You think he's a $45 million a year player?
Lamar Jackson?
Yes.
No. But it doesn't matter what, it just matters what the going rate is. You got to pay him as one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. You don't have any choice. You don't because here's the thing. Go find another one.
Oh no, there's nothing like him too.
Right. And it's not even his qualities. This is what they ran in with Joe Flacco. He won a Super Bowl and they had to pay up. Because even though we all know Joe Flacco went on a really hot run and had some ability and all this, he was never that guy, right, who was going to be the franchise guy forever, right? You knew that he was going to hit a wall and he was just going to be a good player, right? But you have to pay the going rate. And with Lamar Jackson, you have to pay the going rate. It's a 5-year deal. It's a 6-year deal. The only thing that Baltimore's really got going for him is that he doesn't have an agent. And so they're going to be able to probably get away with some kind of structure of a deal. I'm going to guess where they're going to be able to get out of the guarantees somewhere along the line. And it's not going to be one of those contracts that they're stuck with for more than 2 or 3 years. But that's okay. The kid's going to probably come away with, I don't know, $150 million guaranteed, something like that. Whatever it happens to be. Maybe not 150. What am I saying? He's probably going to get $75 million guaranteed out of this deal. He's going to have lifetime, he and his family are going to be taken care of for life. Good for him. And he deserves that money. But yeah, is it 35? Is it 40? Is it 42? I don't know exactly where it's going to land, but it's going to be expensive because you've built a team around him. You've built a structure of a team around him, calculating that you can take advantage of whatever the length of his career you think it's going to be, whether that's 4, 6, 8, 10 years, whatever it happens to be, you're going to take your shot. And I think we talked about this last week. Is he as good as Patrick Mahomes? No. He's not. But there's nobody else that is as close to Patrick Mahomes. So you take your chances with Lamar Jackson, and you hope in a playoff game you catch them the way that you caught them the other night, and that you can get that win in a rare occasion.
Last one for you here. Carson Wentz. What do the Colts do here with this guy? I mean, 2 sprained ankles now. It looks like he's out this week. I mean, if you're Chris Ballard, do you go into next year's draft, even the money that's owed to him and the commitment you've made? What do you do here if you're the Colts? You're kind of in a tough spot here, aren't you, if you're the Colts with Carson Wentz?
Look, we still got plenty of season to play out, but I don't think that Carson Wentz is a very mentally tough kid. So, and I don't even talking about the ankle injuries. I mean, he looks legitimately hurt, right? But he couldn't handle Philadelphia. Now,
Jace, let me stop you. What somebody said to your point right now, why you're making this point. I heard Joe Thomas say this. So if your ankles are that badly hurt, you're standing there on the sidelines for the entire game. And Joe Thomas was like, the kid didn't even go in there to try to go out there and play. And even if he couldn't, let his teammates who are brand new around him, let him go out there and let everyone see that he gave it his all. He's standing on the sidelines there. And Joe goes, look, I'm not questioning things, but there's a visual look that everybody in the locker room sometimes looks at. And to your point, it just looked a little weird. If you got 2 ankle injuries, I'm in the locker room getting treatment. I'm not sitting on the sidelines being a cheerleader.
No. You played football. You know what a tough guy looks like, right? You know when you're in that locker room going, oh, yeah. And you know when you think a guy is a wussy.
Is he soft? Right.
Right. You know, and you feel it, right? And
you think Carson Wentz is soft?
I think that I don't know if he is or not. I don't know the kid. I've never covered him. I've never been there. But I think that other people think he's soft because I've heard that. I don't know how I feel about the kid, right? I think he's talented. I think he's done a lot of things. But I'll tell you this, I think his teammates think he's soft. I think they think he's soft physically. And worse, I think they think he's soft mentally. Now, do I agree with that or not? I don't know him. Okay, so I'm not going to – I don't know – I know what he looks like. I've never talked to him, covered some of his games, but I've never gotten to really be around him enough to know what the real answer is and what I think about him. But I know what other people say.
I thought I pushed you enough out on that limb to make –
You push it back. I'd be fair. Like, it wouldn't be like Carson Wentz could come back and say, well, Jason Cole says I don't even know who he is, and I've never been around him. And he's right. So I don't know that, and it's not fair. But other people say that about him, and if that echo chamber is a bad echo chamber for Carson Wentz.
I agree 100%. Finally, before we get a little bit to the book here, Roger Brown died. So you're telling me a guy who's a 6-time Pro Bowler and is one of the original Fearsome Foursome is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I mean, what am I missing something that I know
I've never had to consider Roger Brown's case. So as much as you want to stir this up, and I appreciate.
I mean, what are you guys doing, Roger Brown? I mean, you were a Los Angeles. You were a Los Angeles fan growing up.
I have never had. I know you're right. I have never had to consider Roger Brown's name.
For God's sakes.
Yeah, so blame me.
I'm blaming you.
Yeah, you're blaming me. You're coming after me. Why don't you, go after the ghost of Edwin Pope? Edwin Pope was in the room when Roger. But no, you wouldn't do that because Edwin Pope is a guy.
Or Tom McEwen. What are those 2 guys? Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Why don't you go after those guys? No. You don't want to take on those guys. You're going to take on me, even though I wasn't in the room. Way to go, Sileo. Nice.
I love Tom McEwen. I love Tom McEwen and Edwin Pope. Those were my friends. Hey, Jace, by the way, folks, please do me a favor. Go to Amazon, his book, A Relentless Life. Hey, real quick, how about Teddy Bridgewater, man? They bring him in.
Nice.
He has stabilized the franchise. They're looking pretty good. I mean, they finally have an adult playing the position. Pretty good there, huh?
Yeah, he's done a nice job so far. But I mean, you know Teddy Bridgewater. Is he a franchise quarterback?
No,
he's a derivation. Like I always say, Alex Smith is your league average quality starter, right? If Alex Smith, maybe even a little above average, but if you have Alex Smith at quarterback, you're okay. Do you want better? Yeah.
Yes.
But where is Teddy Bridgewater compared to Alex Smith? Is he a little bit better, a little bit worse? It's about the same.
Well, I'm really glad that on the interview today we got you to say that basically Carson Wentz is a pussy, and he also
that's exactly what they,
he's soft too.
Way to go, radio guy. Yeah, let's just twist that.
Oh, absolutely twisting that. Hey, I didn't say. Well, maybe I did. I don't know.
That's like the old Roy Firestone interviews. Remember when Roy used to do? He goes, I'm not saying this, but this is what this other guy said about you.
Right on,
Jason. The quote.
I appreciate it, Jason. Have a great one, brother. Thank you.
Good. Later.
You got it. That's my friend Jason Cole. We'll take a brief time out to keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go for the stakes and the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
Glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
So I'm talking to Howard Eskin now. We're trying to get him on Friday. So is it raining in Philly now? So we're trying to. I'm trying to talk him into. He says Fridays are impossible for me. I said, why? Because you're covering Ben Simmons. He started laughing. Ben Simmons, he says. So we're Howard's schedule once the season gets going. He says it's almost impossible. And Fridays are like impossible, but he's trying to find some time for us here. And as you know, every Monday. I don't know this Monday, though, because they'll be broadcasting the game and doing pregame and postgame for Fox 29. I don't know how that's going to work with Gary. We may have to do it Tuesday, but I'll see if we can try to potentially get Howard either on – I'd rather have him Friday because I'm sure that they're going to have him out at the at the station for the broadcast for the Eagles and Cowboys. It's Eagles and Cowboys week. And by the way, I've always learned one thing about that. When you have a Monday night game, there's always like a seemingly a lag because the fans know that, it's this weekend. They're not playing on Sunday. So it's not immediate. It's Monday night. So it gives them a little bit more buildup as you get into Friday. Because then you have Friday, Saturday. Then you get a chance to watch the games in your division. Right? Xander has Alabama pool stories. What could that possibly be? How much fun do you think you have at Alabama? What are you drinking? Everclear? I was drinking at Miami? Pina coladas. Rum runners. Oh, my God, rum runners. Rum runners and strawberries. Whew. Right there on the causeway. Yeah, and you know what Xander's drinking? Was he drinking out of a barrel, Everclear? Or he's probably drinking out of a pumpkin or a watermelon, right? Hey, try this. This is really good. Hey, Xander, try this. This really puts some hair on the back of your neck. You need some, son. People make it seem that Carson is more than he is. Never understood how we gave him $100+ million for performing for 3/4 of a season. Dude, that's true. At least with Jared Goff, what the Rams did, the guy won an NFC championship. And then they gave him the money, right? Xander's like, asking about time, I know, right? Howard's like this. He goes, it's raining, I'm going in. I said, listen, Xander's got a request too. We want you at the piano with the Chardonnay glass. Can't have you outside, next to like your woodpeckers and all like the tree huts you have out there because the connection's awful. Dolphins had to ask Hurricanes to get them into the club. Always. Smile, always. When Big Sills was down in Coconut Grove, hey, done. Or we're going over to Joe's Stone Crab. Hey, I'll take, hey, here's a couple of my friends from the Dolphins in here. There used to be a guy on the team. I think his name was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, believe it or not. Sills, do you know this guy? Yeah, I know who he is. It's Kim Bocamper. Joe, he's a Dolphin. Is this guy Don Strock? Yeah, that's Don Strock. Yeah, we had run of the mill. Big Sills rolling into those clubs in Coconut Grove. Take a rum runner? I used to show business cards to Joe Stone Crab. Here, it said like on the back, give Dan one free meal, an appetizer, no booze. Joe didn't want us drinking. So we got hammered before we went into the Stone Crab house. But he would never give us drinks. So every time we went into Joe Stone Crab, it was great. All you can eat. Go ahead. All you can eat. You go in there. Or you go to like the mine shaft. Or you go to the tourist room. All those places were awesome. Yeah, we used to let the Dolphin guys in. So what kind of pool parties you think, Joey B, in Tuscaloosa? Tell you what, that corncob throwing. You play horseshoe, Sileo? No, I'm more of a bocce ball player. Yeah, I'm a bocce guy. Bocce do bocce. That's who I am. Horseshoes. I know Paisans play horseshoes, but I'm more of a bocce ball guy. Bocce-de-do bocce. That's Tony Bruno. Hey, that'd be a guy we should get on tomorrow here if Howard can't find time because he's not at the piano for Xander. Yeah, not outside Sills. Let's get him at the piano again. Okay. All right. Hey, man, I appreciate everybody coming aboard. Yeah, bocce-de-do bocce, Nunez. Big Sills don't play horseshoes, man. They play bocce ball. How you doing? He's drinking water. He's drinking out of a watermelon. What do you want out of me, right? So, hey, we'll have some big-time guests on as we always do. If you missed any of the show, thank you guys so much for coming aboard. Go over to the JAKIB Media channel, like it. Oh, by the way, guys, please like the broadcast. We really appreciate you guys when you do that. Till tomorrow, 4 to 6 Eastern time. We'll catch you on the flip side.